What's going on, everybody? Sneaker Fox, Sneaker Watch. I had a very long day today, and we're gonna go. But I still wanted to make sure we bring you this content today. I done been to Savannah and back to go pick up some sneakers. The life of a sneakerhead. Hey, that's just what it is. But just got back not too long ago. Didn't get to really do too much out there. Was just in and out, just a real quick in and out. Spent like about an hour out there and came back. And I knew we had our show today, so I wanted to make sure I came back in time to go ahead and bring Sneaker Fox, Sneaker Watch to you today. We have a very special guest today. We have Verse 001, but his name's actually Tony Diamonds. He is a sneaker collector that I've been following for some time now. So I feel very honored for him to give take time out of his day to go ahead and do this Sneaker Fox, Sneaker Watch with us today. So let me go ahead and get him tapped in here. Just waiting. Did you get that request, Verse? Well, I should say Tony. I just sent you a request.
There it is. Hey,
there we go. What's going on, man?
chilling.
How you doing, man?
Good.
So, man, I'm doing good, man. I'm tired, man. I drove to Savannah real quick. You know, they just dropped what's called today. The Fila Tennis 88 and the Biggie collaboration.
Oh,
that came out. Yeah, that came out on the 19th, but I drove all the way out to Savannah to this sneaker store called Rumors to go pick them up. And that's like a 4-hour drive from where I'm at. So drove out there in the grabbed them, was out there for a little bit, and then drove right back to Atlanta to get here in time to go ahead and do this show, man. So you know how it is, the life of a collector, right?
Yeah.
What we do to go get sneakers, man. But they were the only store that had them. Like, they were the only store that had them. Fila sold out of them like that. Like, you know, it's Biggie, man. So, and that's the first collaboration with Biggie that's come out, man. And they sold like that. So, yeah, so I had to go get my hands on them, man. And then I had some other orders from people who wanted some as well. So, had to make that trip, man. But anyway, man, appreciate you, joining us today. For everybody, welcome to Sneaker Fox, Sneaker Watch. We have the famous collector here, Tony Diamonds. He goes by the name of Verse. You know, I was going to ask you that. I know your name's Tony Diamonds. Before you introduce yourself and everything, how did you come up with Verse as your IG name? What's going on, Sneakers Detroit?
Hey, so I mean, I think the statute of limitations has passed, but back in my old like graph days, like I sucked at it, by the way. I wasn't like big time at all, but I was mostly just do little throw ups and stuff. But Verse 001, it like the letters looked really cool when I would tag it, and it was easy. So I came up with that a long time ago. And then when I first started trying to rap, I had some like corny explanation. It was like an early rap name too, like one verse and you gonna love it or some stupid shit. But then like you know how it goes. Eventually I like abandoned.
Right.
I still
that's how I figured
it. Yeah, and on all the early forums, like back in the days of like sneaker forums were popping a lot more, I would use that as my user. So I just kind of carry that over to Instagram.
Okay, that's what I figured. I knew it had to be something that probably had to do with music because I know you do the music thing. So I figured it had something to do with a verse, whatever, with music, man. So, all right, everybody. So we got Tony Diamonds here. Go ahead, introduce yourself, man. Let them know where you're from, what you do, yada yada.
Hey, this is Tony. I'm a longtime sneaker collector, about 12 years now, and from Oakland, California originally, and now I'm based out of Santa Cruz. And yeah, I also have a YouTube channel you may or may not have seen, and I have you know, I got the Instagram account here, and you know, just doing me. But yeah, those are pretty much the things. And also, I'm in a band too, so there's that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that, man. We got an hour to go ahead and knock all that out, man. So what I
Yeah.
want to start with, so you said you were originally from the Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how long when did you move to Santa Cruz?
I was 18 basically. I went to college,
Okay.
and so I went to like grade school and high school in Oakland, and then yeah, moved to come to go to UCSC,
Okay.
and
We still connected or
yeah, yeah, I
oh,
can
okay,
still
okay.
see you,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. All right, man. So what I want to touch on first, man, is the pandemic that we're dealing with right now. So with this pandemic, man, how has it affected you? Professionally, how has it affected you? Business wise, as far as with the music, with your sneakers, has it had an extreme effect on you? This whole pandemic.
For me, besides like overall mood when you go outside, and
Right.
see everybody scared and bummed out behind the mask, but you know, that's weird. We're living in a weird time, but
Right. Right.
uh, for me personally, it hasn't been that bad because I already worked from home, run a YouTube channel from home, make all the beats from home. So I was already basically like a hermit, and then
Okay.
the pandemic didn't really change it that much, and
Right.
then. When it comes to the one thing that's taken a hit has been like the music for sure, because I got
Okay.
another dude that's in my group, and then so
Okay.
obviously we ain't been hanging out making tracks, so that's so the production of music has kind of gone down for done songs,
Okay.
but I've been up making beats instead. So you know, I've made a few
Okay.
beats here during the pandemic so far.
Okay. Okay.
Try to keep
So
it.
how have you so what have you done as far as to work around that as far as the situation with your group? Have you been able does he have a studio set up where you can just, or do you have a studio set up where you can lay your track and then send it to him so he can go ahead and lay his? Like, what are you guys working on to, overcome this pandemic?
Well, generally, I just tried to stay busy having some beats, you know, constantly making new beats, and like we'll text ideas back and forth so we can
Okay.
use the time more like idea formation and then try to execute on some of it when we can be in the studio together. His studio is more set up for like if you were going to make like he's an instruments guy, so he's more like you go
Okay.
over to his house, his studio is more like there's guitars and basses and more like performance mics, but not like high quality mics necessarily. And then over at my house it's a lot more streamlined, it's more for like recording vocals. So it's like if
Okay.
you're when we're going to go get that clean vocal take, we'll come over to my house, I got the better mics
Okay.
and you know, and the nicer setup and sort of like the main brain computer that's gonna where the song's ultimately gonna converge from. So like, um,
Okay.
it does. There is an element of having it go to the other person's house at some point, but like,
Okay.
now, you know, so right now we're just trying to do what we can remotely, like make sure we keep the ideas going, make sure we got stuff in
Okay.
the hopper. Plus other stuff that goes in with being a band nowadays besides music, like, you know, talking about like figuring out what our podcast is going to be and all that different type of like related media that we're about to do to try to just like make it so that
Still
we're
keep the
out
name
here.
going, right? Still
Yeah, yeah. We're not just
keep
out here
keep
rapping.
the eyes on you, pretty much.
We're
Yeah,
all of
you
it.
want to
Yeah,
your
we're
fan
all of it.
base.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. So you're right now. You're both currently working on a podcast right now.
Yes, yeah. That's been
Okay.
actually been in the works for a while,
Okay.
and
What better
we
time than now, right?
yeah, exactly. You
Right.
know, we tried a couple of vlogs. Like we've already, you know, a lot of times the best thing to do is just kind of start, even if it's not that good. And then so we made a couple of vlogs just to like try doing that type of like long form, just us talking type content. But
Okay.
and got a couple weak ones, or you know, I'm not gonna say they're weak, but I'm gonna say you know, it's like a couple of decent ones, I guess. I don't know, out of the gate,
Right.
just
Right.
like just to try and learn, so that we're not just talking about it, but we started. So we started
Okay.
already, but like, well, ones that I would actually tell anyone to go look at, we're still gonna have to, I think, get a little better, and then we could probably have some good ones.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool, man. So yeah. So while we're on the topic of music, when did you get started with music, man? How long you been doing it? When did you get started?
Well, I went to in grade school in Oakland because
Okay.
uh I wonder when I actually started. You know what it was? Okay, so like the first that Dr. Dre album, but Chronic, is when I started trying to like make beats because I like before
Okay.
that, you know, my like I was just like at the time I was probably like 11 or 12, and so or maybe even
Okay.
like 10, somewhere in there, and like I think it was like 11 or I think it was 12 when that came out. But anyway, I played that was a tape somehow talked my parents into buying me, even though it was all the swears and all that stuff. And like before that, I
I know,
hadn't really
right?
heard that, and
I don't know how you did
you know, and then
it.
afterwards, yeah, being a hip hop fan, afterwards I went back and like heard all the precursor and learned about everything pretty quickly. Like if you were into Dr. Dre, that meant that you were probably gonna know a little something about Funkadelic eventually because most of the beats are like G
Exactly.
funk like beats from that era. You're gonna
Exactly.
learn about NWA. You're gonna learn about all that stuff pretty quick because if you're like me and you get interested in something like a band or like a sneaker or whatever it is, a brand, you're gonna know everything about it within like 2 weeks. You're gonna go in
Exactly.
that rabbit
Exactly.
hole, you know. And so like I was a fiend for like hip hop knowledge back in the day and that day. And so it wasn't long before it expanded out. But I would say Dr. Dre's The Chronic was where I first wanted to make beats
Okay.
because that was the thing that struck me more than the raps from that album at first. I mean, besides like
Okay.
the imagery was like the beats were tight to
Yeah,
me.
that
And so
production was crazy. That
yeah,
production
yeah.
was
And
crazy, man.
for its time, I mean, essentially now when I look at it, it's basically like sample beats with like keyboarded stuff kind of played over it. You know what I mean? To like
Right,
make
right,
it sound
right.
better or like replayed. And that's just my producer talk, but I feel like it's pretty obvious what I'm saying. But like, but in the
Right.
time, I was like, how did they do that? You know, before you're sort of the magician revealing his trick and you learn it all. But like
Right,
in the
right,
time,
right.
it seemed amazing. Like, how could you conceptualize making a beat that sounds just like this George Clinton beat or whatever? And then you had Snoop Dogg rapping over it, who just had the most like sinister voice and delivery that made it so that like
Yeah,
essentially,
that was a whole nother yeah.
yeah, how could you not be
His voice is a
captivated
whole nother sound.
by him? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like his whole thing, like how could you not be drawn in, right? And so,
Right.
um, I that stuff was just amazing to me as like a 12-year-old. You know, it's like very
Right.
impressionable, down to do whatever piss off the parents for sure. So like that
Exactly.
started it, and then at the same time, my dad had got me this little weak keyboard to like a Casio to like just try to like learn piano. But then he never got me lessons or anything, so I just had this dusty keyboard, and then so I'm like, maybe I
Right.
could try to beat on this. So I got two tape decks and the keyboard and like this janky like Radio Shack mic, and I started to like loop, like I'd play the drums out on the keyboard, which are like shitty Casio drums, um, and then I would play that tape back and then record the piano, and then I would play the tape with the drums and piano back and record the bass, and it's
Wow.
because I wanted the bass the loudest, and then the last thing you recorded on that technique was always the loudest. By the time you had a done song, there was so much hiss from all the tapes that got recorded back and
Right, right,
forth
right, right, right.
decks and the crappy mic that it was basically like you could barely think of this. So I learned to put the drums last in that method. And then the vocals, I was just rapping some like generic gangster shit because that was like the only rap I listened to. So I didn't really have
I
like
know that's the only
lyric
stuff.
bars or anything
And
at the
then
time.
right.
But then
And then being from
eventually,
the Bay, and then being from the Bay, what about Too Short, E40?
yeah,
Did you get any influence from those guys?
within like a month, you know, of discovering like the Chronic, and then people are like, well, because in my school, it's like that's where I heard it first. They used to have this show called The Box that would play like the popular videos. You could like call
I
and
remember the
order.
box, and you just called in a
Yeah,
request. Right, right, right,
right. Call it was like an 800 number, and then it would be like 6.99 to watch the video or something. And then and then,
right, right. I
but
remember
yeah, yeah, but
that.
then they had like KMEL and another station were like the local stations that had like, you know, at the time it'd be like hip hop sections, and then they'd have like dance and stuff. I think too. I heard a lot of techno on there too in the day, but like with so it wasn't going to take long to know that there was like local bass artists that were like popping.
Right,
So
right, right.
uh that would be like Too Short. I think in high is when I first heard like E40 and Selly Cell, and then like Mac
Ooh,
Dre,
yeah,
and then
man.
like Dre, who was later
Mac
like
Drake,
under
yeah,
Nipsey
Rappy
Hussle,
Forte,
RPL Posse. Uh, there's so many. I mean, the
Rappy
Bay Area
Forte.
is super prolific. And what's cool about the Bay was, even though in my day, like, it wasn't a lot of underground rappers, but like when you really look back at it, over time, is like the Bay became a hub for like underground rappers. So what I'm trying to say is that if a rapper that wants to rap, the Bay will like, it's conducive to that. Like, it's people rap there, you know, like it's just a lot of rappers coming out of there, and it's like it's just a hub of like very creative energy.
The Bay reminds me of Atlanta. Yeah,
It's art everywhere.
yeah. The
Art
Bay
goes
reminds me of Atlanta. Yeah,
Yeah. And so that
yeah,
energy is
yes, yeah. The
there.
Bay
Like,
really, I think and I think that's why Atlanta and the Bay have been able to have a good relationship in music. It's because we're exactly alike. Like we have so many artists coming out of Atlanta, and we support our own, and that's exactly what Oakland has done. So I think, and then that's why you always see different collaborations, and we've been rocking with. Like I remember, like even when it came to music, us like growing up in Atlanta, we always listened to stuff coming out the Bay. Like we were a huge fan of the Bay, rapping
very
Forte,
similar,
E40, and all that. So we were huge fans, man.
very similar, I will want to say sounds, you know, because from the West Coast to the South, to
Yeah,
me, sounds more similar in a lot of ways than like East Coast is like, it's always kind of like its own thing. And there's people on the West Coast that sound super East Coast, like pretty well known West Coast groups that have that sound of the like of a 90s
right.
East Coast group. But in a
Like
similar way,
Exhibit.
right, right, or like a Soldier Mischief or Hieroglyphics or something to me,
Yeah,
and like it has that, but funkier. Because I feel like the West Coast has that like funk element, and that's sort of like a defining element to it. Whether it's like that Zapp and Roger type funk, or like a George Clinton funk, or even like Stax funk, like whatever type of funk you're talking about, it's like it's the Bay Area to me is very funky, or at least that's how it
right,
was.
right,
And I
right.
feel like early Southern raps, like a lot of old Outkast beats and stuff like that, or like old Ghetto Boys
Same thing was funk
would be funk.
inspired, right?
Right, it was funk inspired, so it was a lot of the same
Yeah,
type of inspirations. So I always felt like the South, and well, okay, they're all similar in their own way. Like early West Coast artists, some did try to have bars a little more than just be like on some gangster stuff, and so like so that makes them similar to East Coast to me. And then some early East Coast artists, like I feel like Outkast was a good mesh on like Southern playalistic and stuff, because
yeah,
they had the boom bap kind of drums and part of it, but then they had like live funk instruments over it, and that's a very
exactly,
short,
exactly.
very dangerous crew type thing. Like Ant Banks, like that was his whole thing, would be to have uh
And
like
bass
if
is in
like a
Atlanta
break.
all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
bass used to always be in Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I feel like the South and the Bay Area are very similar in a lot of ways, just depending on what artist you're looking at, for sure.
Mhm. And then let's go and I know we have some. Don't get worried, y'all. We're gonna talk about sneakers. You know, we definitely gonna talk about sneakers. We got who's that? Riva. What's that? River Jared was talking
Very.
about asking about the Brazil dunks. We're gonna talk about that. Let me ask you real quick. Were you able to get the Brazil dunks today?
I whiffed on the Brazil, so I took an L just like everyone else.
Yeah,
Actually, it
everyone
was
took an
kind of
L.
dumb. Yeah, yeah. I was like trying to like do morning stuff around that time. So I was trying to like, you know, in the quarantine time, it all starts a little later. So I mean, I was trying to like shave, and I'm like, oh shit, it's 7. And I like run to the computer, and I like had it on there, so the sizes had popped up. But then I clicked on it, and no dice. It was just like done immediately. I think I was there at like 7:01, so I was like way too late. And so yeah, no, but I do have 2003 Brazil Dunk Highs, so I feel like I still have the
Okay.
colorway here. You know, it's like
Okay.
it's not the same as the new one, but I
Right.
did take an L, so we're all in the L
Yeah.
club.
Yeah. I
What
tried as
like
well, man.
comment?
Like I
Because
know a couple of the sites I know. I did some raffles, didn't hit none of the raffles, and then a store out here called Wish ATL. Um,
oh,
um, I could have hit, man, but I didn't know they were doing it the way they did it. They did it through the story, and I went straight to the website, and I couldn't hit because I had the 12, and I was getting ready to check out and everything, and I lost it. And that little split second, then I went back and it was like, oh, you have to purchase it through the story. And through the story, it took them
Oh,
to a different link. Because the whole time I was on the release
man.
page and I kept refreshing. I'm like, why the fuck is the sneaker's not on here? And then when I went to the
Yeah.
store, I'm like, oh, that's why. They did it through
Damn.
the store and a link through that. And I would have hit, man.
They
Because
really
they
want you
dropped
to
at
be
9.
all.
I was right there right at 9 o'clock, man.
They really want you to be all on their social media, huh?
That's what it
Like just
is,
like,
man. That's what it is,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we got another comment here about the Ben and Jerry's. What about how you feel about the Ben and Jerry's?
You know what? I'm gonna say that I theoretically I may have a pair of Ben and Jerry's to review on Saturday.
Uh-oh.
To me, it's like a crazy looking dunk that I don't have them in hand yet, so I can't 100% say. But just from what I've seen,
Okay.
it's like it's going to be like, and I rarely do this with shoes, but I feel like it's a collector's piece. Like if you get that shoe, it's like they nailed that Ben and Jerry's theme so accurately on that thing. But then when I see the
Right.
pictures of them on feet, I'm like, they do look good on feet, as in looking at a picture of someone's feet right now to show me the
Okay.
shoe. But like actually me walking around in the Ben and Jerry's,
You
like
don't see yourself doing that?
as like a 40-year-old man, like,
Right.
like I'm not trying to say do whatever age. I mean, I still collect sneakers and I'm 40, but like
Right.
but for those, I feel like if I get them, I would definitely love them for like the collection and to do a review and to just have. But like to seriously wear, like I'll probably wear them because I wear all my kicks. I would wear them a couple times, but it'd be more of those ones like I just pull them out the box, look at them, show them to
Right.
people. It's one of them dunks you could like probably show to like non-shoe people when they come over the house as like
Right.
a
Right. Right.
you're like, look at this shit. This is like a look at this, and people will immediately. That's the thing. You look at the Ben and Jerry dunks, you immediately know what that is. There's nothing else.
Exactly.
That green, and then the cow, and then the drippy ice cream swoosh. It's like that is exactly. They did a really good job making it look like what it's supposed to look like for sure.
And I definitely think this is real good for Ben and Jerry too, because they get to tap into a whole nother culture right there. So I'm sure a lot of people are gonna run out and buy Ben and Jerry ice creams to go with and take
Man.
pictures with their sneakers. Like, hey, look, I got the Ben and Jerry's in my sneakers. Look at that. Look at that. I know. So I think that's gonna help with their sales as well.
No offense, guys that are going to pull some sneakerhead humor, but I'm saying I'm cringing in advance for all this pictures. We're going to see.
Watch, you're gonna see it.
He's from ice cream out of the shoe.
Right. Right.
Using the shoe for an ice cream scoop. Ice cream pics next. It's like we get it, bro. Like it's already in the theme. We already know.
Exactly. We know it. We know it.
Oh,
I just wanted to touch on we had some comments there. People wanted to talk
yeah, for
about
sure. Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's. So let me ask you.
Story Saturday.
Right. How did you meet John Doe and then create the three-dimensional crew, I should say? How did that all come about?
Well, there's certain elements of that story that involves that I'm not going to talk about on camera, but like he was like a friend of a friend, and like that friend, he was like a with this other guy I'm talking about.
You breaking up?
Not John Doe, but the other guy. Oh, sorry. Maybe like right over here. Better?
There we go. That's much better. Yeah.
Okay.
I see Homer. Yeah. Homer's cool.
The Wi-Fi. I wanted to have the sneakers in the back, but okay. So where was I? Okay, so a friend of a friend introduced us, and he's a good freestyler, but I don't know that he was ever putting tracks out or anything. But he was just fun down to like get blazed and freestyle basically. And so like one day, John Doe is like there, and he starts rapping too, and then we figured out that he was also rapping, and then I found out that he like played guitar, keyboard, and like every instrument damn near. So it was like I was like, wow, because for me I would just make beats like in FL Studio. And so to find someone that plays like real instruments when I was more like an on the grid kind of beat maker meant that it was opened up possibilities. So like I was like, we should team up. And then so the first time he came over to record a rap, he brought his guitar, and so our first song we ever had, like we didn't do that a lot actually, as it turns out, but like the first song that we ever had was like this long ass guitar solo that I made like into a beat. And plus, back in the day, our way to record audio vocals was like really jerry rigged. You had to like burn the beat to a CD and then play the CD and then like record the vocals because it was like on a super old computer. And
Okay.
then eventually, obviously, we stepped it up with like better mics and computers and equipment over time. But like, yeah, like when we first met, we were just recording super basic stuff. But um, he was a different type of rapper, more along the lines of like a Living Legends or something, type of style in the day. And then so I thought that was dope. So and of course his style evolved too over time, like because we rapped together for so long that like it's
Okay.
real artistic how our styles kind of evolved together to be on the same track a lot. But yeah, and I mean we've been in a group together since 2006 or 7, so for like a
Oh
long
wow. Oh wow.
yeah
Okay.
yeah
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
And I know, and did you just more recently start putting your music on all the digital platforms? I see like 3 albums. I was checking out Spotify, and you had like 3 albums, like from 2017, 18, and 19 on there. Is it just more recently you've been putting music on the digital platforms?
Yeah, we had a I had like a TuneCore in the day, and then when DistroKid came out, I like switched over most of the songs, I think.
Okay.
Um, TuneCore is like pretty expensive unless you're like a label, I feel like. But
Right.
DistroKid's pretty affordable, 25 or 35 depending on like what bonuses you want to add on. But for its unlimited releases, that's if you don't know about that, that's something to definitely Google later if you're an aspiring
Right.
musician. But I put stuff up there that's like more recent that doesn't use samples, and then a lot of our older songs are on our Bandcamp that are like just it was all sample based back in the day. I
Yeah.
was really into that like dusty sample sound, so like um that a lot of the old beats were like that. But unfortunately, like you can't really. I felt weird about trying to put them out there on those like platforms where I have to pay for it because I don't. I basically just don't want to get dinged for samples, and I know even at my level, I probably wouldn't because
Right. Right.
probably not any money to be made. But at the same time, like I just didn't want the headache. I was always of the mindset eventually we could get one song that pops off, and then when people realize there's literally like 10 albums of material, they're going to
They'll
start
go
going
back
through
to
it.
it.
And
Right.
then it's like, oh damn, well all of this is like basically not monetizable, and you're in court. So that was a worst case scenario I was trying to avoid. And so anything that's new typically will at most have royalty free samples, but will not have
Okay.
full samples. Although I've been thinking of going back for shits and giggles recently. It's kind
Right.
of fun
Right.
talking about it. But yeah,
So
I
tell me
like that.
about the opportunity to open up for Problem and Rob the Rugged Man. How was that opportunity, man, to open up for those cats?
It's cool. I mean, we were basically just like the local opener type of scenario. So it's like it wasn't like
Okay.
a lot. People are there to see like the main dude for sure, but it's really
Right.
fun
Right.
because those guys, it's like it does give you a chance to go out there and get in front of like just a bigger crowd. Because otherwise, if you're in a musician in a town that doesn't have like a real, let's say, big, huge audience that's gonna come out on like a Wednesday night to the pub to like watch you, to the bar to basically to watch you rap, which is
Right.
like not a lot of people. So the opportunity to get in front of a lot of people and give what feels like a more like big performance
Right.
is
Right.
fun, and the actual artists tend to kind of keep to themselves. Like, I was able to shake their hand and stuff and say what's up, but like other than that, it's like they're kind of off with their crew and we're kind of getting ready to perform or doing whatever,
Right.
go
Right. Right.
or whatever. So, but I mean, it is cool. It's cool to have it just like as a feather in the cap of like if I never rapped again, like at least I have done shows with people that are like were super famous and popping at one
Right.
point.
You did,
Like,
and you opened up for Dizzy Wright as well, right? You did Dizzy Wright.
yeah, that was
That's a
cool. It was supposed to
yeah,
be Joyner
that's a big
Lucas
name
too.
too. That's a big name too.
It was supposed to be Joyner Lucas too. That was actually probably the best show I ever did. That was so fun because that was actually on. There's like in the biggest venue in town. There's like two stages. There's like two
Okay.
big venues, but the main one you would probably see a rap show at is there's two stages, like a atrium stage and a big stage. It's called the Catalyst. And so the Dizzy Wright one was the one where we got to play on the big stage. And so
Okay.
that was popping because that means, I mean, there was like, that was a crowd of like, a few hundred. So that was pretty sick just to play in front of that many people.
Okay.
And that was supposed to be Dizzy Wright and Joyner Lucas, but Joyner Lucas dropped out of the tour like I think one or two stops right before he was supposed to be in Santa Cruz, so we didn't get to play with him, but like it was still tight. And then we kicked it with I forget what the guy's like his DJ or something, I guess is pretty well known. I'm blanking on his name right now, but we hung out with, it was one that he would tour with most of the time. I'm trying to think of it.
Right.
Anyway, we kicked it. We chopped it
I
up
know
with
you're
him.
talking about. I can't think of his name too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty sick on the. He was doing stuff on the MPC, I remember, and it was pretty tight. But anyway, yeah, we got to kick with him back. I showed up right at the last minute and went on type of thing. So we kind of saw him in passing, but I didn't really get to meet him or anything.
And so, how is it performing in front of people and then shooting your videos for YouTube? What do you feel more comfortable doing, performing in front of a bunch of people, or going ahead and shooting and putting together that YouTube video?
If I was to rank it, I would say performing in front of a lot of people is probably at the top.
Right.
But first off, you're only
Okay.
ever doing that about 10 minutes, and it's going to be like exhilarating. Actually, I've done a longer one. I've done a 30-minute show in front of a couple hundred people, and that was pretty dope. So big in front of a lot of people is fun. That's exhilarating, because especially if they're down, because then it's you just got to throw some slap on and it's going to go. But then when it comes to then under that, I would put YouTube videos and lives, because they're like, I have a little more control there. I mean, it's my domain, and me getting to be more of like a solo thing. And to be honest, I feel a little bit more comfortable talking. Like I feel comfortable rapping live, but I do feel more comfortable. I think it's because I've done just way more YouTube
videos.
Content.
Right.
Like I did a video every day for a year. They weren't all good, but like I did it so that I could get rapidly good at videos. And I'm not saying I'm like super good as I'm not as good as like the best guys probably, but like I got my own thing, that some people seem to like. So, but
I like your style of videos.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's just my thing that I do. But then under that would be probably performing for like a couple people, because that's like most of the shows as an underground artist is performing to like 5 to 20 people in a bar on like a Wednesday. And then usually it's like not like popping really. So it's like, it kind of takes it, like hip hop shows I feel like are better when there's like hype and energy going in. And if you just like, there gets to a point where it's like, it's almost more like you're doing an open mic or something. Like it's kind of like you're they're good for like trying stuff out and getting your material down for sure. Like, and practicing rapping.
And practicing. Practicing. Right.
On stage. So when you get those big shows with a lot of people, you can really like,
you're prepared and ready.
Turn it up. Yeah. And then so I feel like that's, that's probably the rank I would give it. The YouTube stuff I've gotten like, I've got my little like way about me, but I still to this day actually get a little bit nervous doing YouTube videos, because I'm trying to like get a little more like fit a little more into the video without taking away from the review of it, which I think is like what a lot of people appreciate, getting straight to the review. So I still try to keep that element, but I'm trying to bring more into it so that there's like more for people to watch in the video besides just like a sneaker. It's more complete package, you know what I mean? And so,
and I think people appreciate that you getting straight to the point, because when I went on my Sockney and ASICS binge, I used to always come and check out your videos to decide if I was going to cop or not. And you give a nice in-depth review, you do your arm feet, and how you remind me of like a sports commentator. Like the way you break it down and analyze the sneaker reminds me of like a sports commentator. And then you have good shots of the sneaker. So by looking at your reviews, it would make me decide whether or not I was going to get that. Because you went crazy on like Sockneys and ASICs for a little bit. So, and that's why I would always come to your videos to get like an in-depth look. All right, do I want to cop these mints, or do I want to cop this? And I'll come to your video. I'm like, yeah, I like that. All right, I'm going to cop it. I like that. So your videos, for what they need as far as reviews, are really what people need before they decide they're going to pull the trigger on the sneaker, So, and that's what I do. Before I pull the trigger on sneakers, whatever, I always kind of look at the reviews so I can get a look at it. You know, if I can't get it in my hand, I can get a look at it. And that, I think you nailed that perfectly.
Thank you. I mean, all the different guys kind of, I feel like everyone kind of brings their own little thing to the table. Like you got your like big timing guys like a Foamer Simpson or something, where what they're really bringing is like years of experience and like really clean, well presented package. Like the shots, the quality of the video is really high. And then you got more like what I would call like informational dudes, like a Nightwing is kind of like that. Tend to be like really like down to like the level of material. So it's, like what kind of leather or like what grade, or like, is it a polyurethane midsole, like to that level. That's like a level usually I don't even go that deep, but like, so that's a dude who
Right.
does that kind of stuff. And then you got your guys that will review like more niche stuff, like Highly Addictive is a guy I can shout out that does like pretty good niche runners and stuff. And
Okay.
there's a number of other ones as well that I could shout and but when it comes to me, like when I watched reviews to actually get information, uh one thing that did used to bother me was I would have to click around to actually find footage of the sneaker for like the first like 3-4 minutes. Like I'd have to find the point where they would actually pull the shoe out, and I think it's because they're just trying to uh get people to watch the video longer, or just make it into more of like a story than just
Exactly.
like a
And
straight
that's very
review.
annoying to
And
me.
then so
That's very annoying to me.
yeah, it depends what you're in the mood for. If you're
Right.
like for me, I get kind of stuff sometimes because I'll be doing something else, but I want to have like shoe content going in the background. I'll put on some of you guys's videos, right? Just different shoe tubers,
Right.
and just on. And if they're more like long-winded, then I'll just have it going, and then I can like be kind of over here and then like check it out when I think there's like actually a shoe on the screen. I could look and then like be back over here. And then so the for me, like I wanted to do something that was like shoe focused. So even though
Okay.
I'd be like, and you're seeing me talking like a long swath of that with me holding the shoe all where it's all tiny in the camera, I wanted to mostly have a concept where the shoe is mostly what's in the camera. So whether it was my old style where I just had on
Right.
beats the whole time, where I talk in the corner, or it's more video like style that I have now is a little more modern, I guess, like where intersperses. I tried to still, if you pay attention, is mostly the sneaker B-roll is like what you're seeing, because I know people are there to see the shoe and then they want to hear me
Right.
talk about the shoe, but it's like they may want to people. I don't know if they want to see me or not, but it is my video, so I'm gonna be in there. But like basically, you know what I'm saying? But I do try to keep it mostly to the shoe and get the details out of the way kind of first. And then the
Right.
way I
Right.
decided to sort of like bring my flair to it was to kind of take the rambles that I used to do in separate videos and kind of add it into the review so that you can see everything right up
Okay.
front. And then if you actually gives a crap about what, you're free to stay on and watch me continue to go, or if you got me on in the background.
Okay.
But if not,
I see what you're saying.
you
Yeah.
got
Yeah. That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
people that want the info are just going to click through your video till they find the info and then bounce anyway.
Until they
So I
get the
feel
info
like,
that they want. Right. Right.
and
Right.
then they're out. So if you're there for the content, then then you can stay the whole time. If you're not, I'm in the beginning, so see it right up front.
And I got a comment here from Oscar Hunt. He said, Levine knows what he's talking about when it comes to the material of kicks. He doesn't sugarcoat it, and reviews are concise. Keep up the great work. So that's exactly what I said, man. Like you're
Hey,
very
appreciate it.
concise, to the
Thank,
point,
thank
and then like you'll say something that's not good. Oh, the material's not good, but this, like you'll let
yeah,
it be known. Like you don't sugarcoat it. You'll let it be known.
yeah, and also I try to bring a flair of reality, because like I'm I like, as I mentioned earlier, an older sneakerhead. So it's like the way I
Yeah.
am, like I don't really, I can't go in for like the like just complaining about minor stuff. So it's like, even if the materials necessarily aren't good on a shoe, I try to put it in perspective. Like, look, how much did you pay? If you bought a shoe for like $60, you know what I'm saying, on the
Right.
clearance rack, the materials are good bonus, but it's like, as long as you like how the shoe looks and feels on your feet, I think that is actually the single most like important aspect, because you could have like the tightest shoe or the best materials, but now see, I've worn shoes with good materials and then wound up in scenarios where you should not be wearing sneakers with like $200 worth of like premium suede on it. And so like,
Right.
and then like, all of a sudden it puts a tint on the day. So it's like, uh like, I think that like certain levels of sneaker quality are good for just like certain aspects of what you're going to do wearing sneakers. Like sometimes you
That's
want
true.
something where you're going to gotta be like crab walking and duck walking stuff, and like not
Right.
and you just don't want to worry about it. A pair of all
Like you
leather
want to run to
Jordan
the
1s
grocery
good for
store
that,
real quick or something like that. You making running errands. Yeah. So do you have your sneakers like that? You have like
Yeah,
your
which
errand
is what you're
sneakers, like,
mostly
all right,
doing.
I'm about to run errands. Boom.
Yeah, that's what you're
Do you
mostly
have
doing
sneakers like
anyway.
that? Where you
That's
have
what
your
most of us
do you categorize your sneakers?
Huh?
What'd you say?
What'd you say?
No, I was asking, do you categorize your sneakers? Do you have like your sneakers? All right, this is well, I'm just gonna run to the grocery store, run an errand. This is for a night out, Friday, Saturday night out. I want to rock these. Like, do you have yours separated? Like, which ones you rock for certain occasions?
Maybe not like officially. I do have like some. I do have, let's say, like a shoe area in a closet that is like for if for like going out where I can't wear sneakers. So there's like some Clarks and some dress shoes in there and that type of stuff. So I guess that's separate. And I do have a couple of like pre-designated beaters that are more like, it's like your like I got right now, it rotates, but right now it's a Presto React and a Nike. Just usually inexpensive sneakers that are super comfy, but maybe not the best support or whatever. But they're cool for just like running to the store or something. And then
Okay.
so I keep a couple beaters. We got a rack by the door, so there's the by the door beater area. You can get your couple comfy pairs to run to the post office and whatnot. And then on the and then in terms of the sneakers that aren't in that, because that's like 2 out of like over 100 pairs. So the rest of them aren't really that like categorized, but I will say that some fall into an area of where I don't always want to wear them because they're either super premium or they're getting pretty old. And it's like, so there's some starting to age to where they're like, okay, I don't even really like relish wearing these so much as just the fact that it's in the collection, which it sounds weird. And I'll still wear them eventually, but it's like, I enjoy actually wearing. Okay, a better way to put all of this, to explain it, is I like getting fresh. I've said this before. So although I love the collection, the sneakers I've built up, they're all great. But there's always that next new sneaker, whether the materials, it's a materials shoe or just like a day-to-day shoe type of shoe. Whether you got to baby it or just throw it on, it's that new pair. It's nice. You know what I mean? And so there's just like me that it's like, that's why as a sneakerhead it stays exciting. It's never gonna stop, because it's just like,
exactly.
Like I could have, as a sneakerhead, you could have all the pairs and you'll never be like, like, oh man, I guess, well,
right, you're never satisfied, right?
Some guys, but for me, I'm like, how? Like, because like, and you know what it is? I think if your goal is to collect a certain subset of sneakers, like, you're going to get every Jordan 1. And that's already like hundreds. So it's like, if you're going to get every Jordan 1, then you could be done, right? And then there's just the occasional release that will then come out that you got to keep up. Maybe Jordan 1's a example then. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I know what you mean. I know
every
what you mean.
SB or something, right? And then
because I personally love packs. So when there's a certain pack that comes out, I want to get every single one from that pack.
Right. So you could do that, and then I could see you being done. But like, for the most part, like for me, the variety is part of it. So like, just slamming through, like trying doing SB Dunks for a while. Like, I'll go into a rash or buying Jordans, and then maybe I'll buy like several Air Maxes. I had a big Asics phase, big Saucony phase, then back to Asics, then back to
I remember.
Then sold all my Diodoras and bought some Adidas. you know how it goes as a sneakerhead. I call it sneakerhead logic. You have these like rules you create to
Right.
like help bring some order to the madness, and then but those rules evolve and change too, depending on like, you see one
Right,
picture
right,
on
right,
Instagram
right.
that changes your whole opinion on a shoe, and now all of a sudden you
That
have
is,
like
yeah,
five
that is
colorways.
so true, man. That is true.
And
That is
I
so.
mean, if you really buying sneakers like that, and especially if you're a deal hunter like me, which is also like a bad habit, because then you wind up, well, it's not bad, but it is a habit. It is something that you got to be prepared for, because it's like there's a lot of, I spent a lot of time just looking through this clearance section of sneaker sites, you know, like looking for like stuff to get on the low that
Some
I think
steals, right, 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 right. eBay too. eBay too.
it determining the sneakers that are going to be sleepers that you like, that are going to be sleepers that people will want down the line. And then so a lot of that I'll have, and I'm like, but I have a feeling like when these dry up, just like every sneaker, it just goes up. So it's like, just because the sneaker is not like an expensive sneaker now doesn't mean that, or matter of fact, it's a better story when you tell people like some of the SBs I got for $25 because
What?
when SBs were, they quit doing that when they got popular again. But like I remember getting TV mids and tie-dye mids 2 for 50. And there was a period of
What?
time when I was just like the homie shoot down on Wednesday and clean up on all the SBs. And then I would give them to the homies at cost. So I'm like, hey, I got kicks for you if you got $25, you know, back. And then so for a while we were all super eaten, and then they stopped doing that. But like, and there's a longer story behind that, but in the interest, let's just say that ended. But for a time, I was getting those shoes for cheap, and what they go for now, it's like that's crazy. That like if I
It's
had hung on
crazy, right?
those, like I paid $25 for that shoe. You know what I mean? And here it is. It's like a $200-300 shoe now. I remember there's shoes you couldn't give away that are like popular now, and then there's shoes I had last year that I already sold, like some certain Air Max stuff that are already like
Right.
I'll never get those back for under retail like I did the first time. So just goes to show you, you know, like you don't have to pursue, and this is something I say a lot in videos, like you don't have to pursue the heaters. The trick is to
Right.
find the just under the radar joints that people sleep on, which is a learned skill from collecting sneakers, basically. That's what I think
Right,
anyway.
right, right. So how do you feel? Because you've been doing the dunks for the longest. Like you said, you were even during the down period of dunks when you were catching them for 25. You know, no one was copping them at that time. How do you feel about the resurgence of the dunk, and what do you think has created that resurgence of the dunks?
I think good marketing, you know, using influencer marketing. It's marketing. It made it like way more poppin'. And then you
Okay.
look, dunks, the SB dunk community actually, the people that have been collecting since the last time they were popular before this time, like in the
Right.
Tiffany era and all that, uh,
Right.
a lot of them never stopped. Some of them did, or they just switched out to a different shoe or whatever. But like a lot of them kept going, and I started around 2008 and bought a lot
Okay.
of my grails then and kept going. And so
Okay.
because it already had a small community that stuck with it, when the hype came in, you already had basically people in existence that already have a pretty good knowledge and history with the sneakers. And
Right.
so that element helped to make it like a little bit more official, versus just some new sort of like flash in the pan trend that like went away. It's like something that's like gone in a wave instead, where it's already had its
Right.
return of popularity.
Right.
SB can
Right.
hit this magic mix of like someone popular wearing the sneakers plus good concepts or cool colorways or material combo or whatever you have that they do, like that magic mix that they do, and like a couple solid GRs to go around it, and just slightly
Right.
limited availability and increasingly harder and harder to get. Uh, that adds this like mystique, and that with with the rapper cosign and everything, it's just like that helps. That's what I think all kind of came together, and I think that
Right.
if
Right.
it existing community that already had heat grails from like 10 years ago, almost 10 years no, like more than 10 years ago, actually, like
More than 10
almost 20
years.
years,
Yeah, about
you
12
know?
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some old heat out there, and that still exists. So that old heat becomes now like legendary heat, and then
Right, right.
becomes like, the heat of its day. So like, you know, it's a little crazy. I do want to give a shout out though to like people that work in a skate shop, because SBs are pretty much the skate shop is your best bet, and y'all need to be like nice to these
Right,
skate
right.
people, because I got homies that work in the skate shop, and like they don't like getting
Right.
cussed out on over shoes. So I want to take a second and give them their shout. Like, let's be all adults out
Right.
here. Most of y'all cool, because I've been to the lineup before and seen it, and like people are chill, they're making friends, it's respectful, and everybody's happy
Right,
in
right.
person. So there's no reason to be, a dick on the phone to someone who's. I mean, fools don't owe you a pair of shoes. I'll put it that way. So
They
you catch
don't.
more flies with honey.
And the people act like they do.
So so just keep those two lessons in mind when you're talking to someone, that it may not, you may have to like not just make it look like you're just trying to use them real quick, because that's like,
Right, right.
that's not the way that's going to happen for you. So
Right. And
yeah,
then, but someone in your position, you've built a relationship like at these sneaker shops. You have friends and homies over there. So when it comes to exclusive releases at those shops, with the relationships that you've been able to create over time, isn't it easier for you to get these sneakers? Because it's not, you'll have a newer sneakerhead who all of a sudden, for the first time, goes to a skate shop to go get a sneaker, and it's gonna be hard for them to get it, as opposed to someone like you that has homies over there. Has it made it easier for you to cop like the releases because of that relationship that you've already created over time?
it depends, because I'm not going to lie and say it's never benefited me. There's been a couple of times where it's been clutch on the super limited sneakers, not so much. And there's even like
Okay.
there was sneakers that I was like trying to get that were just like general releases, and I wasn't even able to get them. So a lot of I used to just bees from anywhere that had them in stock. That someone would post a link on Twitter, and I would just go. So that's how I got a lot of pairs, to be honest. Or like just any other social media, you see
Okay.
this and you hit them up. But now that it's gotten real crazy, and now that there's like economic factors, and now that I have homies at the skate shop, I try to like exclusively get my SBs in person, and show support. Like go in there, buy a shirt, buy a hat, uh, just say what's up. Like go in there and chop it up, and try not to
Okay.
annoy and waste their time because they're at work, but just go in there and like say what's up, and like be like a real person, instead of like just another new face, like never said what's up, coming in demanding like the latest limited
Right,
shoe.
right.
So like I think there's like hey, what's up? I think that there's like I just think that, to answer your question, a couple of times it's come in handy to know someone at the skate shop when, for example, there were additional pairs that people didn't snap up and they hadn't been put out yet, but I walked in and just happened to ask about it, or they were just putting them out right then, and it was a good coincidence.
Okay.
There's that type of shit's helped out. But also I know what that skate shop's rules are, so I
Okay.
try to follow their rules often when I can, and just get the release like everyone else that gets it from there, so that
Okay.
uh so I do what they ask most of the time,
Okay.
and I've only really had to rely on, I mean, but I'd be lying if I said they work out for me. So
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, so I'll just put it to you this way, like I said, like you um and I'm not like, it's actually very, like by nature I'm like more like a homebody, not like super outgoing, you know what I mean, just to like strangers.
Right.
But like I feel like if I have a shared interest with someone about sneakers and they happen to work at a skate shop, it's so rare in the town I live in to encounter a fellow sneakerhead like in person, like someone that actually knows what I'm talking about. Clearly, I'd be the bigger
Right.
dork out of the two, because I probably like it's happened. I've started geeking out in a conversation and been that guy. But like at the end of the day, though, like I appreciate that there's like people in person that work in the skate shop that care. They know about Jordans and all this different stuff. So it's like, it's actually, to me, it's like making a friend, you know, and it's like, I don't really, you know, like I don't really hold anyone to any sort of like friend standard, like, oh, because we cool and both like sneakers. Now we talk 2 or 3 times, now hook it up, else I'm out. You know, it's just not like that. It's more like, you know, it's like, oh, this is dope. I can, if I want to talk to a person about sneakers in person, this person's working, I can go in, and if it's not busy, they'll chop it up with me for a while about that. No one else will do that with the person. So that to me is like very dope. So I have a lot of respect for like, you know, the people working at the skate shop. Like some of the people are in on the whole sneaker culture, and they deserve to not be treated like shit on these pop releases. You know, and nobody deserves to be treated like shit, but you know what I'm saying. People do.
Exactly. So Babito had an interview with Complex Podcast. I don't know, did you check that out?
I did not see the Babito interview, no.
Okay. Well, he said something pretty cool, man. And something that I wanted to touch with you, because he said that he hated Jordan 1s, but he liked Dunks, and he chose Dunks over Jordan 1s. And then he also came to say that Jordan 1s do not look good on anybody else's feet except for Michael Jordan. How do you feel about that? He said Michael Jordan is the only one who looks cool wearing Jordan 1s. No one else looks cool wearing Jordan 1s.
First off, respect to Babito, hip hop. You know, a person that helped a lot of hip hop people get the exposure that may not have been as famous if it wasn't for their history. So shout out to Babito. On this, I'm gonna say, why limit yourself, man? Like a lot of people like the Jordan 1, so you're free to not like it.
Right.
And I know. Remember what I was saying earlier about sneakerhead logic? That is exactly what that is. That's like I mean, and there's a lot, it could be any number of reasons behind the sneakerhead logic. It could be, if I'm both of these and I wind up buying every colorway, I'm gonna be broke. That's like a logic I've used. Like, okay, I'm not gonna buy this because once I get into this, it's over for the wallet. And then so I should just not. It's like Yeezy 350. There's so many cool yet very similar colorways.
Those, man.
I
don't even deal with Yeezys because I already know them.
Otherwise you're on the Yeezy train, and you're pretty much, that's 220 a week gone, you know. So it's like, damn,
220, and then don't go up in the models. Now they add 300 for like the 5 and 700s. Those are like $300 a pop. So I made sure I didn't get caught on that Yeezy train, because I got a certain budget that I have, and I'm not getting caught on that train.
My condolences to the hardcore Yeezy train. You know, I respect it. Just, you know, watch your money, man. It's like, it's a lot.
Right.
But, and you know, it's all good. But yeah, it's just the sneakerhead logic. That's what I think. So he just, for whatever his reasons, he thinks they look ugly, or whatever his reasons are, he's then going to say, okay, well then no Jordan 1s. That's easy. So like, you've just cut out several thousand sneakers based off just like set, you know, you've turned it to off. So the sneakers plus,
hey, yo, Tony,